about just the group you have this spring. A lot of veterans, and you added a couple of veteran pieces as well.
Yeah, it's a great group. I mean, offensive line groups are always great. Great people to be around. And with the additions, you got a bunch of vets. You have a bunch of young guys, so everyone's working hard to coach each other and bring the new guys up to the standard, right, and help them understand it, and then keep coaching those young guys and get them better.
What's the period like for you at the end of the portal window? I think Rocco and Elijah Pritchard were the last two to kind of come on board. Can you kind of walk through what that was like for you? Obviously, you knew you had a need there, and you had to be patient to get those guys at the end, right?
Yeah, it's man, it's crazy, right? Like you got all these people, and you don't know what's really going to happen with every guy in there, and you go after a few guys and see what happens, and hope for the best, right? For the team, right? Find guys that's going to help the team win, and we got two guys that came in and took to the standard. Obviously Rocco, played for my mentor, Coach Easton, for 1 year, so he understands what's the expectations when, just from playing for Coach Easton. So he's been a great addition, and obviously Elijah as well. So.
You had a 2-year starting center who's going to the NFL in Ben. What makes a good center? What are you looking for in terms of components of guys that can take his place and do a good job?
That's such a specialty position. Everyone talks about, you can put this guy in at center, this guy in at center, but it takes a certain kind of individual, to go in there, and you're pretty much, the quarterback of the offensive line, and a lot of stuff that the center does goes unnoticed. You're responsible to make all the calls, right? You're responsible to make adjustments to calls if there's certain situations that come up with defenses. So, you need a guy that's comfortable, right, being vocal, a guy that's gonna prepare. Usually the center prepares more than the other guys because they're in charge of so much of everything. And as a center, you pretty much you feel like the whole offense is on your back, right? Because sometimes those guys make calls that no one notices, and then there's a touchdown, but we know. Right, we know how important that is. So that's definitely a specialty position. You look for vocal guys that are, comfortable, doing things that other positions don't really have to do. Right, so.
I think we all think Sam Sledge is working there. How has his progress been? In the first 2 years, he was kind of working up to this spot. How has he been this spring?
Sledge is doing a great job. Obviously having 2 years of experience with the offense and understanding the expectations. He's steadily improving as a high school guy coming in. That's the progression you go on, right? You just got to keep watering the bamboo.
You've got a number of veterans that are out with stuff this spring, but like Gatula and Corcoran and Teddy, what kind of versatility do those guys have when they come back? I mean, as far as could some of those guys play both tackle positions, move on the inside? I mean, when you start to put the puzzle together, how do those guys factor in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, building a unit, right, of 5 guys is not always the best 5. Right, it's a group of 5 men that's going to work together, and sometimes it might be 6, 7, 8 guys. Right, I'm not against rotating guys. So, those guys, like you said, have versatility, and we really try to build that through these practices with other guys as well, right? One guy plays on the right for a couple snaps, goes to the left. So, because as you progress through college and you get opportunities in the NFL, you're going to have to be able to play both sides. So, being able to have those guys, veteran presences, right? Henry's over there too, right? They're out there every day coaching. They're in meetings coaching, and they understand the offense at a high level. So I'm very comfortable with them taking those guys, those young guys, and coaching them up if I'm not around. But, yeah, they're doing a great job.
Is there a point in the offseason when you that's the cutoff to experimenting with guys and you want them to settle in a certain spot, or do you keep moving them around throughout?
Week 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you just keep building it. Keep building the versatility. You never know, right? Last year there's some stuff happened and we had to move some guys around, right? But that's where, you get those reps on task, which gets those guys ready for anything, and you're always looking for the best 5.
You mentioned Teddy and Turner. Like, how involved are those guys at all this spring? Are they just kind of coaches on the field? Are they taking part in some things?
Yeah, Teddy's doing everything, non-contact. Turner's rehabbing, and whenever they're on the field, they're coaching. I mean, it's awesome, right? I look over and Turner's over there coaching Elijah, right? He's over there coaching Tyler, right? And then Teddy's over there. Turner's over there coaching when he gets the chance to be on the field, right? After his rehab and his workouts, right? They get out there and they're boom, right, jumping right in it. So it's just another set of eyes that guys with tons of experience that understand the expectation, the standard, and the offense.
Rule was pretty adamant earlier this winter about the importance this spring for your second-year linemen, even some of the third-year guys who haven't had playing time. Your 6 practices into the spring, who, if any, who in that group is taking advantage of their moment?
That's there's always flashes of greatness from each guy, So like, you talk about being an offensive lineman coming out of high school, right? It's the really high level guys, they'll probably play a little earlier, maybe second year than the other guys. I played with Joe Thomas in college, right? He was our left tackle when I was there, and he didn't play his true freshman year, right? One of the most highly recruited kids out of the state of Wisconsin ever, right? Hall of Famer, all that. But those really high talent guys, you'll probably be able to get on the field right now. I'm not saying those other guys don't have the talent now. It just takes time, right? The physical piece in the weight room, right? The Big Ten is, it's hard, right? It's a bunch of big grown men. You look at defenses, a lot of those defenses have 4th and 5th year seniors out there, right? So it's just a progression, right? Like I said earlier, we just got to keep watering the bamboo, and when they're ready to play, right, they'll be out there.
One of those guys, Tyler Canuck, he's been in the program a couple of years. How close is he to taking on maybe that bigger role for the
Yeah, Tyler's he's such a great asset for the team first, right? Offensively and then the unit, right? Just his presence, right? His ability to communicate with everybody. He understands how to hold guys accountable, and he's not worried about how people think when he does hold them accountable. So he's a great asset to the team. Tyler's taking huge steps, right? And just like all those other guys with reps on task, you get better and better and better. So we'll just keep progressing. We'll just keep going through the process. But yeah, Tyler's doing a great job.
Cam Jurgens was in, I think, we saw something on social media about him talking to the team. How valuable is it to have a player, not only who played here, but a Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion, talking to your linemen?
No doubt. Those guys are, you can't put a value on, some of those younger guys in the room from Nebraska, they're like, oh, that's Cam Jurgens, right? But he was one of us, right? He was a player here, and he's an in-state guy. So whatever information Cam has, we try to pass that along to the guys. And I told Cam, I said, hey, get out here and freaking coach these guys up. Whatever you see, you can help them out. He's just another set of eyes and another voice.
What's it been like getting kind of a normal runway with Coach Holderson after he came in and drinking water from a fire hose there the last 3 or 4 games?
Yeah, it's great. Communication's been great. Obviously, keeping things simple, right? Mastering a few things here and there. But Coach Holgerson is. I'm just blessed to be, not only with a guy like Coach Holgerson, but just this whole staff, Coach Rue and everybody else. It's just, I'm just grateful to be in this position to be able to, work with guys like that.
Dana said that a lot of the scheme may stay the same because it makes sense to Coach Rule, makes sense to you. What about it makes sense and encourages you?
That's more player-driven, When you have a language and a system, right, it's what the players understand, not what I understand, what Coach Holgerson understands. It's what they understand. So Coach Holgerson did a great job of coming in and learning the language, right? There's so many different ways that people call the same play, right? That's football, right? But you go in this system, they call it this, they call it that. And Coach Holgerson came in and just learned what we've been doing the last 2 years. So that's great.
Around Dylan every day now for about a year since he's been on campus. Have you seen him grow and change, and how different is he even this spring than he was last spring?
Yeah, you know, he's still 19, right? He's still figuring things out. He's still a kid. So, but you can feel his presence a little more, right? Last year we had a veteran, you know, heavy team that he was just trying to gain guys' respect, you know. So, notice him speaking up a little more. You know, the work is still the work, right? You either do it or you don't. But I think in that way, I think his leadership, you can hear his voice a little more, you know. So.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
A lot of it, we're simple.